world of Game of Thrones is a bleak place where life is never fair and doing the right thing more often than not results in terrible consequences for honorable people. The first episode of Telltale's 6-part Game of Thrones game explicitly represents that cruel reality. In 2 hours of dialogue decisions made with the knowledge that being good and noble might mean the downfall of House Forrester and the original characters you control, it sets up great anticipation for future episodes and delivers a strong ending of its own. First, a warning. Definitely do not approach this game as a way to introduce yourself to Game of Thrones. It's made for existing fans, and it begins with a massive spoiler for anyone who hasn't seen the first 3 seasons or read the first 3 books. The game mimics the structure of the show by jumping between the perspectives of 3 characters: Garrett Tuttle, squire to Lord Forrester, Ethan Forrester, who must step up to rule the Forrester seat of Ironrath in his father's absence, and Mira Forrester, Ethan's older sister and handmaiden to Margaery Tyrell in King's Landing. Each of them has their own distinct role to play in attempting to salvage House Forrester's future, and each maintains the pace with a few difficult decisions to make. Garrett's scenes involve a lot of simple, straightforward, quick-time event-style action. It's not challenging, but it breaks up the dialogue with brutal bloodshed. Please! And it sets a tone that raises the stakes for the diplomacy that follows. His decisions of whether to try and save everyone or sacrifice them for the greater good are tense, thanks to the ticking clock that adds urgency to almost every dialogue choice.
We have to warn the others.
His bigger quest is to deliver a secret only to certain ears, which is a bit silly because you're never given a reason to want to divulge it. You have to deliberately choose to fail.
I've been waiting for the right moment to tell you.
Scenes from Ethan's perspective are some of the strongest. His heated negotiations with the Lord of a rival house are especially well written and acted. Mira's scenes in King's Landing are a good change of setting from the Greys and Browns of Ironrath, and playing her small part in the power struggle between Margaery and Cersei Lannister adds another layer of intrigue to the plot.
Once you are queen, the lords and ladies will do their best to please you.
You learn very quickly.
Across the board, acting is up to the high standards Telltale has set with its past games. Plus, all the characters from the show who appear are authentically voiced by their TV actors.
She is a threat to the crown, isn't she? The most dangerous handmaiden in all of King's Landing.
And the likenesses are good enough that details like Cersei's signature lopsided sneer and slightly raised eyebrow come through. Those portrayals are undermined slightly by occasionally glitchy animations. And while the painterly art style generally looks quite good, the brushstroke effects on backgrounds can be distracting when the camera moves and causes the strokes to shimmer around. It's important to note that most choices in Episode 1 have little or no significant impact within this 2-hour section of the story. In fairness, it's an episode that positions itself as a prologue, concluding with "Your story begins." So much of what makes this a great start for the series is the promises it makes, or implies, for what's to come. It caps off with a powerful and shocking ending that reminds us both of the kind of harsh world we're in, and also that major events of this story are going to be beyond our control.
I took care of it. He received his punishment and it's done.
Tough decisions, well-acted original characters and interesting situations, and a strong, provocative ending kick off Telltale's new Game of Thrones series in a great way. Its nature as a side story to the HBO show means we won't get to decide the fate of Westeros. But this introduction is convincing evidence that the future of House Forrester puts enough at stake to make choices matter. For more on Game of Thrones, stick with IGN.
Not a chance that sword is his. Must have stolen it. Out here by himself. Probably a deserter.
I killed a man for it.
Did you? Now why don't I believe you?